Hello everyone, I'm Satyajit and welcome back to my channel. You are watching the Python course playlist and today's video is on data types. I hope you are already clear with the previous topics. If not, please go back to the videos in my playlist and study them. Link to the videos are already in the description below. If you are new to the channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to get notified on my future videos. So let's get started. Now in the previous video, we studied about the basics of Python, as in what are variables, what are keywords. We also tried to initialize some of the variables and saw how to initialize a string variable, integer variable or a float variable, and to do some minor operations. Now today's video is all about the data types. The previous video, if we can relate some of the statements which I mentioned, when I typed a equals to 10 and then I typed type of a, that showed me int, right? That's basically a data type. Like what type of your variable is, basically that is basically data type. Now variables hold values of different data types. We already discussed this: integer, float, string, double, etc, etc. With the help of type function, you can check the type of variable used. We have already used type, so we will also be starting with the type function, and then we will understand what are the next steps or the next topics, or we can maybe deep dive into the data types part. Now you can see this particular image that shows data type is of two types: immutable and mutable. Now in immutable, we have strings, tuples, numbers. Immutable means basically if you cannot access that and change the internal contents of that particular data type. Now if you are defining a variable like string variable or a tuple variable, you cannot modify the elements. That's basically the immutability property of a data type. Now mutable, lists, sets, dictionaries are mutable. So as I said, simply put, a mutable object can be changed after it is created, right? And an immutable object cannot, right? So we will also, when we deep dive into various practical part, we will also be going through the immutability and mutability operations. We'll also see how can we change the contents of a lists and sets, and how cannot we do that the same task with tuples and strings. Okay, inside data type, in today's video, we shall be also learning about what is typecasting, and we will also talk about various arithmetic operations. Now operators and operands is in basically my next slide. So what I'm doing is I'm combining data types and operators, and I will be also talking about the basic arithmetic operations as well. So let me go through the theoretical part. Now what are operators and operands? Operators are special symbols that represent computations like addition, multiplication, subtraction, etc, etc. The value of operators is applied to are called operands. Now operator can be plus, minus, hyphen, slash, star, star, star. Now star means basically multiplication and star star means squaring off, like to the power of 20 plus 32, hour minus 1 hour into 60 plus minute 5 to the power 2. So these are some of the operations that happens. When we start with the data types part, we'll also go to the typecasting. So today's video, our main focus is going to be typecasting, what are the various arithmetic operations, and what are the various string operations that we do. So let's slowly get started. I have already created my Jupyter notebook. Now obviously we will start with the basic course. So just to explain you again, so we have already learned that variables are nothing but a memory location to store values assigned to them, right? Some of the properties of these variables are, first of all, there is no need to declare the data type of the variable. We already know that. So I'm just trying to recap it so that everybody understands what we are going through. So we don't have to declare a variable in Python like in languages in C, C++, Java. We have to declare it like int, string, and all those things. In Python, we don't have to declare it. So as I said, C equals to 5, as simple as that. It will be like, if I just print C, it will show me it's 5. And if I just print type of C, it will tell me that, hey, its type is basically integer. So I don't have to declare it as int C. Okay. Similarly, variables names cannot start with a number. That is also one of the basic things which we should understand. Now, if I, instead of C, if I make it 1C, 1C equals to 5, now it will throw me error. because this is a syntax error, invalid syntax, because we cannot start a variable name with a number. That's the prerequisite. That's the basic understanding which we should have. What else? Python is case sensitive. That means let's try to see what is the case sensitivity. Basically, let's say I initiate a new variable such as welcome equals to welcome to the course. Okay, now again I'm defining welcome equals to hello world. So I expect, like, if you are expecting that if I print welcome we will be able to see this. Let's see what it does. Print welcome. See, as I said, Python is case sensitive. That means small, if you are defining a variable as small s and another variable as capital S, so these two will be considered as two different variables. Similarly, as I told, initially I declared in lower caps, I declared welcome, and again in uppercase I defined welcome equals to hello world. So when I'm printing welcome, it is printing with the first statement. Let's print the second statement. See, so both my welcome variables are different. So that's basically one of the properties of Python. Okay, Python is case sensitive. So that's the basics of the Python. I mean, let's move ahead to the typecasting, but let me just change the heading to typecasting. Yeah, so I was talking about typecasting. Now, what is typecasting? In certain scenarios in Python, what happens is when you are dealing with any kind of use cases, it's a quite common thing. So that's the reason why I'm explaining you. Typecasting means changing from one data type to another. Let's say in your piece of code, you have defined a variable as integer. In future, you might have to change it to float. So you can simply typecast it. Now, typecasting in simple terms is nothing but changing one data type to another data type in Python. I'll just try to mention that as well so that it's better for you to understand. And obviously I'll be sharing you this particular file as an attachment or maybe as a GitHub repository so that you can go through. Changing one data type to another data type is called as typecasting. Okay, so let's quickly understand what is typecasting. Let's say I define a number as int num equals to 10. Okay, now obviously it is an integer value, right? Now let's say float num equals to 10.5. And let me also define a string equals to welcome. Also define a boolean variable, boolean equals to, let's say, true. Okay, now boolean variables are always defined like this. If you define it within a string, within a code, it will be assumed by the Python interpreter that it's a string variable, it's not a boolean variable. Okay, so I have also declared a boolean variable. Now what I will do is, let's try to simply print the type of them. Like, what is the type of integer num? So it is of integer class. Similarly, let's do it for the other variables as well. Let me just write it down so that it will be easy for me to copy paste and run it. Float num is float. See, string is str, boolean is bool. Okay, now how to typecast it? Let's say I want to change this float variable to integer variable. So what I can do is, let's say I will define new int equals to int of float num. Now if I do this and I will print new int, and also I will print the type of new int. See, so float num, let me also print the type of float num. So float num was a float variable, but now I have converted it into an integer variable. So the new variable, it's basically a integer variable. So in certain cases, when you are dealing with, when you are working on data analysis activities or any kind of activities, typecasting is a very common thing which we do, and that's the reason you should know how to convert one data type to another data type. Now let's move ahead and understand what are the various arithmetic operations. Let me just close it down. Or maybe what I can do is I'll just beautify it and send it to you later on. But yeah, let's just try to run the various operations. Let's say I'm defining a equals to 5, b equals to 7. Now I will print addition equals to a plus b. Now this is how you print a print statement in which my addition equals to is a string. So I have defined it as a hard coded value, and then I'm taking the value from this. You can also do this way, c equals to a plus b, and pass c here. Okay, so this is basically your arithmetic operations. Similarly, I will do it for others as well. Let's say c equals to a minus b. What is c? Sub equals to minus 2, right? Or else let's do this way, print multiplication equals to a into b. I will copy paste it and do it for the division operation as well. Division equals to a slash b. So let me run it. Multiplication equal to 35 because 5 into 7 is 35, and division is 5 by 7 equals to 0.713. Now again, if you want to just show few characters, 2 to 3 characters, again there are some different commands for that. We will be studying in the next slides, or you can say in the future slides. So let's not get confused as of now, because we are starting from basics. So I just want you to understand the basic concept. Now arithmetic operations, I think everybody is clear. Maybe you can also try to print out the other operations as well. A to the power b, something like this. So all these operations you can try it out. Whatever arithmetic operations are possible, you can just do a try. You can just practice yourself and you'll be able to achieve. Now our next topic is going to be string operations. Let me just write it down. String operations. Now what is string operations? Now obviously anything related to strings, like in the real scenarios when we are working on the data analysis activities, or be it any programming activities, or if you are doing anything related to Python, string operations are very important. We have to understand each one of them, because when you are playing around with strings, there can be n number of need. Like somebody needs the first letter of a string, if you need the last letter of a string, if you want to capitalize the first letter of a string, if you want to extract the middle 5 characters from the string, there can be any requirements, right? So anything can be possible using Python commands. So I will just tell you what are the basic string operations that are possible. Before that, let me define some of the string variables. Let's say s equals to hello. Now, as I told, how to access the first letter of a string variable. Let's say, let me make it a little bit big. Welcome to the Python course. Okay. Now, obviously, if I just print it out, it will just let me know, welcome to the Python course. If you're using some other IDEs, you just have to write down print s. Okay, so don't get confused, because Jupyter Notebook gives you the opportunity without using print statements. Also, you can print out the variables or the data frames. Okay, now let's say I just want to access the first character of the string. So welcome to the Python course. I want the first character, that is W. So what I can do is s of 0. This is providing me the first character. Now if you want the second character, s of 1. Now why 0, why 1? Because in Python, your indexing starts from the 0th position. So your numbering starts from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like this. Okay, so this is one of the ways to access the elements or access the characters inside a string. Okay, now how to access the last character? Do we have to read everything? 1, 2, 3, 4, something like this? Like for this particular string statement, it might be an easier task. Like, but there can be huge sentences, right? We don't have to read and calculate the number of the positions. So if you want to access a string variable from the last index, then I can use the minus operation. That is, let's say I want the last character or the first character from the end. So what I can do is s minus 1. So that will give me the last character or the first character from the end. Similarly, if you want the third character from the end, that means ESR. I want to print R. Third character S minus 3. Now, let's say one more operation is finding the length of a string. Now, how to find the length of a string? There is a function called as len function. So using this function, you can find the length of a string. So what you can do is length of, s. So it will tell me it's 28 bytes. That means there are 28 characters including spaces. Let's just calculate it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 25, 26, 27, 28. As simple as that. Okay, so length basically provides you the length of the string variable. Now what's next? Let's try to do string concatenation, like how to add strings. Like if I have two variables, string variables, how to add them. One classic example can be if you are dealing with customer names. Now, if you have two different columns called as first name equals to, let's say I'll just give my name, and last name equals to something like this. Now, if somebody asks you that, can you write down the full name? Okay, how to do it? So what I can do is full name equals to first name plus last name. Now let's print it out. Now obviously I know that it's wrong, but let's just print it out. See, first name, last name, there is no space inside it because we don't have space here, right? So there are 2 to 3 approaches to fix this problem. One of them can be if you add a space after your first name, then if you print it, you can achieve your targets. Or else you can add a space before your last name, print it, or else. Now obviously these two are little bit actually not possible in real scenarios to append spaces in your variables, right? That's I would say it's irrelevant step. So the most relevant step would be adding a space here like this. Now if I just print it out, full name equals to first name plus a space operator, or you can say space plus last name. So first name will be appended, then there will be a space, then there will be last name. Okay, so this is how your string concatenation happens. Now let's talk about string slicing. Now how to cut down strings. For example, if I want to extract the center 5 characters or maybe the first 5 characters or something like that. So let me just reuse the same string command, or else let me just change it to maybe a simpler one. I love Python. Okay, now let's say I want to slice and well, maybe I want to print the first 6 characters. So how do I do that? Now we already know that if I just do this, it will print the first command, right? And what is the 6th character? The sixth character is E, right? Because it starts from 0. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So I know S of 5 is E and S of 0 is I. So can I do this way, 0 to 5? Now in slicing, what happens is, in this particular command, we have to pass the initial string or the initial index and the last index. So what happens is, S0 to 5 will print me I space LOV. It will not print me E, because in slicing operations, you want to provide the indexes. So what happens is, 0 means the 0th index, 5 means the 6th index. I'm sorry, 5 means the 4th index. Okay, that means -1. So if I want to show, sorry. So if I want to print I love, I have to do 0:6. That means from the from the 0th index, that is I have to print 6 characters. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 0 to 5. Okay. So if you want to print, let's say I'll just provide another example. New S equals to, maybe I'll provide the same string. Now I want to print welcome to the Python, entire this string. So what I shall be doing is 0, 1. So here what we did is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 1. That means 0 to 6. So here what we will do, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That means I will just pass 0 to 21. New S 0 till 21. Okay, I haven't run this code. So welcome to the Python. Now if I just do 20, my n will be cancelled out. Okay, that's how it works, from the 0th index till the last -1 index. Okay, let me just redo it as 21. So that's basically your string slicing. Okay, now if you want to 7 colon anything, that means beyond your 6th index. Okay, so it will print me Python. Now colons and the right side is empty, that means till the end, something like that. That's basically your string slicing. Now what is string repetition? Let's try to do string repetition. Now for example, if I just define a string variable as string repetition, let's just str_rep, I will just define it as ABC. Okay, now I want to repeat ABC for 3 times. So what I can do is simply, very similar to the int operations, I mean, *3 in int basically provides you the multiplication of operation. Like if your variable is 3, into 3 will be 9, something like that. But in string, what happens is multiplication operations basically multiplies the strings. If your string is of 3 characters, if you do the string variable into 3, it will become 9 characters. Now let's try to see it. See how it is done. ABC, ABC, ABC. Similarly, if I do *4, that means 4 times it will be printed. So that's basically your repetition, string repetition operation. Now after that, for example, I define a sentence. Sentence equals to MS Dhoni is my favorite cricketer, something like this. And I want to, for example, I want to find how many times do we have I in this sentence. What are the total number of occurrences of I? So what I can do is sentence dot, there is a count operation, sentence dot count of I. Now if I just print it, it will print me 4. Let's just cross check it. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have four counts of i's in this particular sentence. So this is basically your count operation. So you just have to memorize your count parameter. Now memorizing is not required basically, because obviously you want to count something, you can use your count operation, your count methods. Quite easy to use as well. So Python is very easy to learn. Now there are some other string methods as well. Maybe I'll just write it down in the markdown. String methods such as upper, lower, and strip as well. So let's just give a small example of how upper works. Now for example, the same sentence itself, what I will do is I will try to print dot lower. See, ms and d have gone to the lowercase, like it has been converted to lowercase. Now if I do upper, so ms1 is my favorite character, sorry, favorite cricketer, right? So this is how the lower and upper statement works. Now what is strip? Now let's say I have spaces equals to just given, I don't know how many spaces I have given. Try to cut down the spaces. Okay. Now what I will do is, let me first print the spaces. So obviously I can also see the spaces as well, right? Now if I just use the strip command, let's see how it works. See, so by default, strip operation cuts down the spaces. Similarly, there are L strip and R strip also. You can study more about them. But yeah, this is how your strip commands work. Now you would be asking a question that, okay, spaces can be removed in certain scenarios when we are dealing with some data analysis activities. Maybe there are some junk characters, how to remove them using strip. So let's take an example. Junk equals to, let me give you star, something like this, some number 555111. Okay, something like this. So what I can do is print let me write it down and then I will explain. Sorry. Print junk dot r strip hash. Okay, 2 times has been created. Okay, so I think it should work. Yeah, you can look at this. So what I'm doing is I'm stripping the right hashtags and the left star tags in this particular junk column. Now obviously there can be n number of permutation combinations that can happen. Maybe if you are noting down some of the important codes like star 123 hash, you want to ignore stars and hash, or it can be any characters. It can be any characters. You can make use of your strip operation. So what it does is it cuts down those characters basically. So that's all about the basic data types, and I would say I think we had an understanding and good tutorial on understanding the various concepts, including typecasting, arithmetic operations, and string operations. So that's it for the basics of Python. Just doing a quick recap on what we learned in this particular video. So we learned the basic formatting, like basic arithmetic and string operations in Python. And obviously we learned how to create our first code. I would say not exactly a code, but yeah, at least we did our hands-on coding, right? So that's more than enough as part of the chapter 1. In the next chapter, you will be deep diving and exploring the various data structures supported by Python and learn about each one of them in details. So go ahead and check out the next video. Link would be in the description below. or else visit the channel and go to the Python playlist and you will find out the next video. If you like my video, please like it, share it among your friends, and if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe the channel and press the bell icon so that you can be notified about the future videos. Thank you guys.